Hey, this is JC and welcome to Small Brick City, where we want to help you build a Lego city regardless of the space you have. In this video, we're going to do a challenge, and the challenge is to reduce the length of this Dodge Charger. This is the 2018 Dodge Charger from the Lego set 75893. Now, it's a great looking car. I call this the Vin Diesel car from the Fast and Furious series, but it is a little long. Now, if you compare it to other cars, for example, this 2018 squad car or police car, it is almost one wheel longer. If you compare it to my food truck, which is the same length as the squad car, it is also that same one wheel longer. So it's really too long, and I did do some research on the calculations for the car. So the length of the Charger is 200 inches, and I just compared it to a regular car like the Toyota Camry, which is 192 inches. So it's really only 8 inches longer than a standard saloon car. Therefore, it is out of scale and out of proportion. A shout out to subscriber Skywarp. He successfully reduced the length of the Dodge Charger so that it's the same length as the squad car. He too felt that it was way too long for a Lego city, so wanted to cut it down. He sent me some modification notes and photographs, so I'm going to refer to them and take this apart and see if I can cut down the length but keep all the central features, proportions, and the look of the Dodge Charger. And I think it'll really fit my custom Lego city better. Let's get started. And here we have the scaled down and modified Dodge Charger. The proportions are intact, but it's actually reduced by 2.5 studs thereabouts. That's pretty significant. And if I place it together with the squad car, you can see it's only slightly longer, which is pretty good. So it's really realistic and it will fit very well in a Lego city. This did take me longer than I expected. I took about 90 minutes to do this, but I should say that I'm also not a Lego car guy. I do a lot of buildings and small builds, but not so many vehicles. I didn't even build the original build for this particular car. So I had to learn how it was constructed as I opened it up and saw how the different parts were put together. So here are some tips if you want to change this. Now, in terms of parts, I did have to use some new parts, and I used quite a few 1x4 plates. So I suggest you have about 6 of those plates if you want to do this modification. Let me tell you how I did the modification. Basically, the middle section was shortened and the really back was shortened as well. That's where the half stud came in. Now, there's quite a big bumper and a back attached to this, but it really made it protrude out quite a bit. So to scale it down, I had to reduce the back, but I still maintained the original facade. I did add the badge over here, which I think fits quite well. And 2 studs worth of bricks and plates were kind of moved and reduced, so this part was compressed. So everything was moved back. Now, if you're to build this, I would suggest starting from the back, and you'd pull out all these sloped parts. And actually, there are additional parts such as this. So this was completely removed because you can see it extended out all the way this way. So besides those plates, I also use these tiles, so 2 corner tiles like this. And let's have a look inside. The main thing you have to think about, and it will only make sense if you have this vehicle, is when you break it apart, you need to see where the seat is. You see that red seat? Let me pull that off. That sloped brick. So that's kind of the seat rest or the back seat rest. It has to move back 2 studs. So you just have to think about shifting everything by 2 studs. That means you will have to remove some plates underneath and reconnect them so that it's a bit more compressed. Now, if you look at the wheelbase, it is actually smaller. It used to be much longer by 2 studs. So it's now the same as the squad car. And the front is basically the same, but due to the fact that it's pushed back, you will have to redo this bottom section. So this bottom section looks exactly like how it was before, but I had to change up the plates in order to configure it correctly. So there is a bit of figuring out to do. It's not so straightforward, but it is a challenge, and I suggest starting from the back. Now when you come to the back, keep the main structure. It came with these modified plates. These are light tan. If you like, you can change them to black. That's what I did, just so that there's no way that I can see any peak of this light tan. But if not, just keep those plates. And what I did was to remove this back section, and this is a bit of a cheat because I have a 1x2 towel and this ingot piece, but it's held on by just one stud. And I think it's fine. So some people, some purists may not like this. They may want to have 2 studs, but it will not be possible to retain this length if you do want to have it 2 studs. The main thing, because this car is 5 studs wide, so it's an odd number, and that's why you just can't simply put a plate on. You do need to offset it using jumper plates, but once you add in jumper plates, it means that things get thicker. So therefore I ended up with this solution. I still think it works well, and because I have a jumper plate there, it allowed me to put that badge, and this came with the original set and was taken out from the original build because it was shortened, so I think that fits well there. So that's the tips if you want to build this. Proportionately, you're compressing it and you're moving things back, and of course you're taking some of the guts out in terms of plates, and you have to rearrange it. But once you kind of figure that out, and now that I've given you these tips, I think it does make it easier, so all the best. So here's the shot of the Dodge Charger when it's lined up with other vehicles of different sizes. So it's closest to the squad car. This is the Mini Cooper, which is obviously much smaller, but I think it's more realistic in terms of the scale proportion. And this is my food truck, which is also slightly shorter than the Dodge Charger. But overall, I think the modifications are right. In the original build, it was just too out of scale. It was way too long, and even if you place it on a regular road plate, it would seem like a really it would seem like an overly long car. It would seem like an overly long car. Once again, thank you to Skywalk, who sent me his original instructions and who came up with the idea of shortening the car. I didn't follow his instructions completely. I did make some changes, and this is kind of my own modifications, but the end result is pretty similar. If you have any ideas on how you can shorten the car in an even easier manner, do share it with all of us by leaving it in the comments. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.